Edward Wayne Edwards was a convicted American serial killer. Edwards escaped from jail in Akron, Ohio in 1955 by pushing past a guard and fled across the country, holding up gas stations for money. In 1961, he landed on the FBI's 10 Most Wanted Fugitives list. He eventually was captured and arrested in Atlanta, Georgia on January 20, 1962. Paroled in 1967. Between 1977 and 1996 he murdered at least 5 people and is suspected in many other killings as well. Background: Edwards was born in Akron, Ohio, and handyman. He lived most of his life, when not incarcerated, in Louisville, Kentucky. In 1955 Edwards escaped from a jail in Akron and drifted around the country, robbing gas stations when he needed money. Edwards appeared on 2 television shows, To Tell the Truth and What's My Line? Quote, he wrote an autobiography titled The Metamorphoses of a Criminal, the true life story of Ed Edwards in 1972. But by 1982 he had returned to crime, and was imprisoned in Pennsylvania for 2 years for arson. Known murders: Edwards is known to have murdered 5 people, 2 in Ohio in 1977, 2 in Wisconsin in 1980, and 1 in Ohio in 1996. The first murders for which Edwards was convicted, of Billy Lavaco and Judy Straub, a double murder, took place in Ohio in 1977. He received life sentences for these crimes in 2010. The second pair of murders were of Tim Hack and Kelly Drew, another double homicide, in Wisconsin, in 1980. These were referred to as the Sweetheart Murders. Edwards had been questioned at the time, but there was no basis to hold him. Almost 29 years later his connection to the crime was established by means of DNA testing. Lastly, Edwards confessed to the 1996 murder of Danny Boy Edwards in Ohio. The victim was referred to as an adopted child who had lived with Edwards and his wife for several years. Danny's original name was Danny Law Glockner. Other possible murders: according to Phil Stanford in his book The Peyton Allen Files, Edwards may have been responsible for the murders of Beverly Allen and Larry Peyton in Portland, Oregon in 1960. Some investigators have noted that Edwards lived in Northern California during each of the Zodiac Killer's murders in the late 1960s and would have, at the time, closely matched the Zodiac's description, although others dispute that claim. In March 2017, Detective Chad Garcia of the Jefferson County, Wisconsin, Sheriff's Office, who was in charge of the Sweetheart Murders case, described how the murders of Hack and Drew were solved following a tip-off from Edwards' daughter. Garcia said he was pretty confident there are at least 5 to 7 more murders Edwards committed, and who knows beyond that. Quote, he gave a list of 15 confirmed and suspected victims, adding that he was less sure Edwards was involved in the Zodiac killings. Death: Edwards died of natural causes at the Corrections Medical Center in Columbus, Ohio on April 7, 2011. In media: in 2014, Golden Door Press published It's Me, Edward Wayne Edwards, the Serial Killer You Never Heard Of, by former police detective and cold case expert John A. Cameron. The book details the murders Edwards was convicted of and provides analysis and argument of other murders for which Edwards was never caught. On November 10, 2016, Deadline announced that Spike TV had ordered a 6-part documentary series called It Was Him, following Edwards' grandson Wayne Wolf and John A. Cameron as they investigate Edwards' potential connections to multiple unsolved murders.